Yutyrannus, everyone's favorite Asian Tyrannosaur. If you're a paleo nerd and want people to pay attention to you for all the wrong reasons, start naming obscure taxa. That will give you attention and the cops called on you. Anyways, I was hyped for this guy, and after messing with him, disinfecting him, and reinfecting him with my man juices, I could safely say there will be a familiar theme when the rest of the pre-orders come. The figure comes in a box with a backdrop, but this backdrop is flimsy and droopy and is irrelevant. It's a backdrop, but it's meant to replicate the card that comes with to let you recreate the scene on the card due to limited neck articulation severely hindering the figure. I'll doubt you could do that. As usual, you come. It comes. I almost said you come.
Let them come.
It comes with interchangeable feet, bending toes in the in the process of like walking and like relaxed when they're being lifted, to simulate that being stretched and whatnot, and a base. Yeah, that's pretty much it for that. As usual, the sculpting is great, as expected in 2023. This is the bare minimum, by the way. Actually, expected from an A tier level figure and sculpt. I expect from everyone no excuses for a figure which costs $105. Mind you, it says $90, but the ridiculous little fees and shit. By the way, what the fuck? Why do I have to pay $10 for like each individual figure? Am I not paying $105, David? Is that fucking enough? Huh? Isn't that enough?
First of all, congratulations, Mr. Krabs.
Hello, I like money.
Yeah, but anyways, the cost it goes up by quite a bit. David wants to squeeze every last cent out of you, and he's very charismatic. He knows all the right cards to play and what to say. Let's take a look at the face. Let's start off with just the decency of the sculpt. Let's take a look at the face. Taking a look at the face, the mouth cannot close all the way. It isn't completely flush. So again, if you go back to the backer kit blog regarding retooling, quote unquote, you'll start to see a familiar theme if the rest of the figures that I pre-ordered possess this issue or other funky issues. It isn't going to be just a coincidence. Again, I don't mind something snarling with loose lips, but he sure does. I don't know what's up with that. Looking at the front, it is cursed. It reminds me of the 2D cartoon characters that are known to be shown from like a side or 2/3 of a side at the front. But if they're like fully front facing, they look cursed. It looks like a gummy old man, a weird duck. But in all seriousness, the general sculpt is safe. It is Yutyrannus. It has an angry look. Which isn't something I like necessarily. Again, angry doesn't necessarily make a figure good. The rigid crests are there, but the lower jaw is very thin in comparison. I almost forgot to mention the roof of the mouth. No nasal cavity? Ooh, ouch, man, that's got to deduct some points. Where is this supposed detail? Again, if I'm paying a large amount of money for a figure, I don't want it to lack in the areas it has advertised itself to have in the context of the sculpt. The forelimbs are somewhat flimsy in my opinion. They're way too... I would have much appreciated there for like a more thick, a little more muscular after all. After all, this thing had pronounced forelimbs. As usual, we could speculate it was used for hunting, display, or intimidation. The claws or the fingers are decent. They're not too spread out or closed, but, just optimal. They're also made of a softer plastic. But then again, the thickness of the forelimbs just bugs me, frankly. The hind limbs are great. The feathers go down to the feet, which is uncommon in birds, but it reminds me of some of those chickens I want. Those fluffy ones with the little cute, adorable feet. The proportions are great as well, as expected. Speaking of feathers, this thing is covered in feathers or fibers, because it's fucking a Protoceratosaurian, because I know it's Coelurosauриan, of course, but then again, yeah, this thing's covered from, these little fibers from head to tail. I don't know why I mentioned that again. I don't know why I'm repeating myself. What am I, fucking retarded? But, the tail, it has a spoon shape where the diamond shaped tail where you see this Dinochirus paleo where the tail starts to fucking starts to do the thing, dude. Starts to collect, starts to gather there. Based on the Haast Eagle, look. The inspiration is great. The contrast is wonderful. The black and white variation is what I adore. But I have a bit of an issue with the execution. Some design aesthetics feel excessive, as usual. For example, starting off with the head. I love the orange, browns, and yellows to make it seem like the mouth is a beak in a way. The palms of the forelimbs and the bottom of the feet are also yellow. Going back to the face, the lacrimal crest and nasal crest are a solid orange with a brown wash, which is good. The contrast in blue eyes is just wonderful. However, around the eyes, the eye sockets, are glossy for some reason. I don't know why that is, but going to what I find personally depressing, let me flip it to the top and tell me what you see. The top of the head is yellow. The foreskin piece is somewhat white with a weird brownish shade of some kind. The rest of the body as well incorporates the same amount of shade as the foreskin. It has an appropriate amount of shade, if you will, but the tail is this weird hint of blue. But what's going on here? Quality control issues? I assume, is it my copy? If not, just tell me in the comments below, because I have trouble believing that, because I've seen Andy's toy reviews, multiple posts, and multiple anecdotal cases where this is a widespread issue in terms of paint. It looks like two different departments had an idea of what they wanted to do when it comes to the shading. I'm going for Team Brown, I guess. I don't really like the frosty blue. It's not my aesthetic personally. But the overall color scheme is just dark browns with yellow tinted whites. But I don't know why you couldn't utilize modern Arctic predators like polar bears, Arctic owls. I mean, see, owls are dinosaurs too. They occupy similar ecological niches.
Occupy similar habitats and ecological niches as their prehistoric counterparts. Ecological niches.
But you chose this color scheme to drive up the cost further. White with a tint of yellow, like most Arctic predators, or consistent browns and grays. Something akin to how you see a snow leopard or a cougar of some kind. The claws and toe claws are painted a glossy black. The mouth is a light pinkish hue, chicken tender pink, with beige teeth, with some unknown wash I cannot seem to get my finger on or try to describe. Now let me just talk about articulation for a moment. Now, something I dread, it looks my suspicions have been proven right all along. Every Tyrannosaur, including the juvenile T-Rex body molds and the Yutyrannus or Guanalong body molds, do not possess this issue, but the rest do. This figure has a single ball joint that it restricts a lot of movement, just like the original T-Rex of the line.
Hello boys and girls, after receiving the Beast of the Mesozoic Yutyrannus, I found out that David is a little deceptive. Okay? By the way, you need heat. Lots of heat. Okay? Of course, it's a little foreskin hoodie, another hoodie, just to squish, hide the single ball joint in here, by the way. Also, rather than having the ball joint connection start from here, it has to be there. You know why? Here, let me demonstrate for you. Let me just stick it back in there. Because look at this. Because when you want him to look up, he can't look up as much. But he can certainly most look down. Just like the previous Tyrannosaur. Just like the previous T-Rex I reviewed. This is a little scummy. Also, as you notice here, I sanded down because on top of here, he added glue. Glue and a tab so he could restrict you from moving. Restriction. Why do you do this, David? Why do you insist on doing this? Stop it.
And it looks like the future theropods that David produces are detrimental, backward steps in engineering, excluding possibly the Dilophosaurus, the Carnotaurus, and, a few others, I suppose. But then I may be wrong, but it's just a concern. But that's not just a single issue here. If you have a good eye, you would notice that my copy has something off about it. The jaws can open this wide. The torso is much more flexible and less restrictive, up, down, side to side. The shoulders are on a ball joint, but it is very limiting. The hinges on the elbows can swivel and bend, but do not possess a conventional 90 degrees. It's like 75 degrees. I don't know. My math is off. The wrist is on a ball joint, meaning it could give you SH Figure Arts vibes, double ball joint, more motion fluidity here, but it would have been better if it was just a hinge joint, in my opinion. The legs are interesting. If you stretch the thighs, you'll notice they look just like the 1/6 like Raptor, the first lines he did. The thigh joints. It's just a single ball joint, nothing fancy. The knees can bend, they're interchangeable. The ankles are on hinges as well. Mind you, hinges can swivel and bend, not just bend, they can do two things. The feet are on a ball joint. They're much less restrictive than the T-Rex. The tail is on a 2 ball joint segment with a bending wire for the third. And also, I just want to throw it out there, the hinge joints on the knees are fucking painted. Quality control issues. This is detrimental because the moment paint, literally, because I know you want to have this seamless mentality where you make everything look 100% perfect, and if the joints are not painted, somehow they'll look off. But if you paint the joints and you try to move them, that is detrimental. That will cause stiffness, right? You're sabotaging the product. And I'm not sure if you know this, David, but it's a massive issue. Accessories. As you may know, you get 2 stationary legs and articulated legs to do diverse poses, quote unquote. The feet also come in lifted off the ground and into the process of bending, as previously mentioned. The rest of the Tyrannosaurs have that, including the small ones, including the very small Tyrannosaurs, such as Guanolong. They are a bitch to put on. That's just a bit on my comment. And a base, a gray base with a single metal rod. Honestly, I don't know what stopped you from making it a little bigger and adding an additional rod. Also, why not make the base, when you flip it over, possess storage for the excess feet? The base is a military green mold, because I'm just looking over the coloring over here, with cool dry brush details as supposed to simulate rock and erosion of some kind, as evident by the dry brushed gray and mossy greens taking place. The stand can split in two, with the dominant base as the much smaller one, because I have a feeling he designed it in this specific, or commissioned it at least in this specific way, to which he could just have an oddly specific pose, where it's the walking pose, as you can see in the promotional images. It's he wants you to pose it like this, and any other methodology would make it look weird. And by the way, for the sake of safety, in order to do that, you need a slightly shimmy or apply heat to separate them to avoid potential breakage. I'm also referring to the base, by the way. It's also a tiny little detail. A little tree root is what I can only assume is sticking out of the base to give it more naturalistic positioning, to make it seem more alive. But then again, it's just it feels like wasted potential. I wish the base was much bigger and it had something going on for it. But then again, maybe I have no idea what I'm talking about. I'm not gonna lie, it took me forever to get through this video. Man, I can't wait to edit it and just finally render. Oh no.
You're not perfect.
Size comparison. Tyrannosaurus Rex of the series of the Wave 1, and Gorgo fuck from the failed documentary. Let's see here. What else would I like to present? I would like to present Diabloceratops, Scorpionvenator, Kentrosaurus, and Zotoceratops. The original Wave 1, fucking Carnotaurus Liplorodon, and Autistic Raptor. And I hope you guys got the general size. I honestly like this figure, but do I recommend it? No, not really. I still have to follow my principles. I've also been getting reports from other people who have major concerns about QC issues or quality control issues, for those who don't know. I won't ramble on my philosophy because I won't waste my breath, because people will find any way to get offended and take things personally. And they'll get offended on the behalf of others, not, the other way around. Rather than actually internalize the criticism, they will find any way to justify or excuse the issues rather than holding artists accountable. I'll say this, just because something took a lot of time doesn't mean it'll be good in everyone's eyes. The Paleo and Jurassic Park community are starved of quality. They'll praise anything that they could get that is a bare minimum. It's like abusive relationships or like Stockholm syndrome. They're delusional to a certain degree. We get ignored by large corporations that should be doing the bare minimum, but do not for some reason. So you have artificial issues like Mattel making big feet and fucked up teeth. So you have these arrogant, pretentious artists to sell you replacement feet for $50. It creates this problem. It creates the create a problem, sell the solution like mentality. But the solution is sold by people who want to take opportunities, which is nothing wrong with that. But it's fucking bizarro in my opinion. They're artists, they're entitled to charge whatever they want, but for the issue when there is this ridiculous ecosystem of bullshittery, where a corporation produces a flawed product and an insecure artist produces a remedy. This isn't me specifically bashing any artist by any means, but the remedy is ridiculous amounts of money, which kind of fucks up the whole area. So any criticism could just be like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. They work so hard, because if they put you in moral rhetorical arguments, and the moment you say, you know what, fuck them, you don't care about this, it's like you're so inconsiderate, and it's just like, wow, you're suddenly the fucking arbiter of selfishness, I suppose. But it's illogical. It's the fact if actual competition existed and not just indie artists running around. I can guarantee you people will say, I won't buy from Arctic Toys, Marco, or David Sylvia. We're so limited to the point, it's like Stockholm Syndrome. We take what we can get. So it's just this negative feedback loop of creativity. Because if you try to critique anything, they will literally just, they will say anything to justify the behavior. Quote, you have no idea how much time they spent, they can do whatever they want, that's something you hear. Or something else you can hear is, you have no idea what you're talking about, you're just being a pretentious asshole, and they just write meaningless paragraphs completely missing your fucking point. Don't like it, don't buy it, that's my personal favorite. I don't want to buy it. That's why I'm complaining. If you're constantly alienating a large portion of potential customers to satiate your bullshit elitist view on how your creativity needs to be quote unquote respected, rather than internalizing the problem and getting off your fucking high horse, you would know I am not the enemy. I am the opposite. I'm just trying to critique here. Okay. Want to know how most of these arguments regarding their stands are bullshit? If someone produces the same thing with the same quality, because we're talking hypothetically here, but with reduced price, you'll know they'll flock to it. It's bullshit. It's just economics over here. So my part of the problem, am I being a hypocrite, telling you not to buy it as I do? Well, not really. My entire argument virtually boils down to, and I want you to listen to me very closely right now, please do not hold these artists to such a degree of idolatry, where if you criticize them outside the conventional wisdom, you'd be an inconsiderate hater. Like, they can do no wrong. They have the same capacity to do bad things and commit fraudulent. Well, I'm not saying they're frauds, but I'm saying it's like they're human. They can do bad things, right? And we should just stop lying to ourselves. They're like video game developers, right? Lawmakers, doctors, politicians. Hell, your cousin George, and they should be held accountable, right? It's like it's how things should be. Do not just tolerate anything they do. Question it and come to your own conclusions whether it's worth. It's your money, your rules. Please know that if you enjoyed my meandering skits or ramblings, feel free to like and share. Leave a comment if you agree with my sentiments. Goodbye now.